and we have to really escalate the noise we make so that we'll be heard.
Welcome to Gay USA, the home of deep-seated homosexuality. I'm Andy Hum.
Is that because we're sitting down?
No, it's a reference to our top story.
Okay, I'm Ann Northrup. What is our top story, Andy?
Well, it's that darn Pope, because this week behind closed doors, he slurred gay men, and then he apologized or had somebody apologize for him, but only to those who were offended.
We will attempt to offend him as we relate this story in a moment. Meanwhile, the Libertarian Party has nominated an out gay candidate for president over Donald Trump and RFK Jr.
At the White House state dinner for Kenya's anti-LGBTQ president, lots of LGBTQ luminaries, but no indication that he was confronted about his country's Kill the Gays bill.
A missed opportunity, unless someone knows better. Please tell us if you do. It has become apparent that some gay tech execs, Silicon Valley types, are giving big bucks to the Trump campaign.
Minnesota Republicans are behind an insanely anti-LGBTQ nominee for the U.S. Senate.
These Senate candidates just get worse and worse.
I mean, we didn't have much of a chance this year on the Senate, but they're doing their best to try to queer their chances.
North Carolina, Minnesota. But we also have a charming video from Minneapolis of a TV anchor coming out on the air.
A defrocked lesbian minister was welcomed back into the Methodist Church.
And in more good news, an Idaho drag artist has won $1.1 million from a jury in a defamation suit against a right-wing blogger.
I should say that minister was welcomed back to the clergy, not just she never left the church. U.S. Secretary of the Interior Deb Haaland reverses the Park Service ban on rangers participating in uniform in pride marches.
We certainly had hopes that would happen. And a trans actor has won the big prize for the first time at the Cannes Film Festival.
And The Voice gets its first out LGBTQ winner.
And we have a charming story about a relationship between a trans activist and a trans prisoner who's an artist, and how that developed. We'll tell you that at the end.
And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, I'm going to be on Thursday speaking at the American Institute of Architects on Thursday at 6 p.m. for a forum on the passage of New York City's Gay and Lesbian and Bisexual Rights Bill in 1986. That will include a screening of the documentary Rights and Reactions. The info will be in our email this week.
So try to sign up at gayusatv.org to get our weekly email. But that's tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, Thursday night.
Thursday night.
It's right across from Grand Central Terminal.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Il Papa.
Well, you know, he can't stop talking about gay stuff, and he got nasty about it behind closed doors with Italian bishops.
250 of them. It wasn't like it was a tiny little meeting.
So they were talking about the problem in the seminary is all these how Phrygia genie it is, which is translated as full of faggotry.
Yeah, but they weren't saying that. The bishops were asking the Pope,
yeah,
why should we allow out gay priests or priests to be into the seminary? And then he's the one who said there is too much faggotry in the seminary.
Right. And the thing is, this has been the policy for a while. That's why I use the term deep-seated homosexuality. If you're a deep-seated homosexual, they don't want you. I mean, this is so ungrateful of the church, because gay men have been serving it for centuries. 80% of those bishops are probably gay themselves. I mean, let's say half. But in the Curia, which is the Vatican, it's said to be about 80%.
And it's all over the U.S. church and the church worldwide. I would call it a lot worse than ungrateful, but I was under the impression, and I may just be remembering this wrong, that years ago when this came up, there was an attempt to, the strict rules were in fact a loosening of a former absolute ban. And it was sort of an acknowledgement that, yes, there were gay men who were going into the seminary. And so the new rules said, well, you can't be certainly a practicing homosexual, and you can't be really, really devoted to your gay feelings. But if you're, if you can sort of put that aside, we're not going to kick you out for who you are. Now it seems very regressive, and they're going.
So who's going to do it? Who's going to serve you in the priesthood? You mean, things are way down.
It's just another way to shrink the church. But will people really be turned off by it and say, well, the hell with you if you're not going to be more respectful?
I would hope that, I would hope that self-respecting gay people would not go into the priesthood. It's what's the point? The church teaches that we're disordered. Why would you want to be a part of that organization? Why would you want to be a part of an organization that doesn't let women be priests?
You can make all sorts of arguments about wanting to do useful work, but you're right. If you are required to enforce and teach a doctrine that says that we are disordered and evil and sinful and disgusting, why would you want to be a part of that?
So the Vatican issued a statement saying the Pope extends his apologies to those who were offended by the use of the term, this faggotry term. But of course, that's what I would call a non-apology apology. And you need true contrition to be really sorry and forgiven, Holy Father. So we want to hear something more forthright from you.
There's also a report that he used a term that means pansies, that this was not just one word. And this is a guy who's tried to portray himself as friendly to gay people and trans people and welcoming them and meeting them. But if this is coming out behind closed doors, the real feelings, that just wipes out everything he has done.
And when he said it, the bishops were, they thought it was great. A big joke, here's the Pope being true.
Well, some people are trying to say he was saying it in a sort of ironic, funny way, but I don't think he's allowed to do that.
Somebody was complaining about all the campiness on the altar with these priests. But come on, where is accepting everybody? Where's all that?
He also explained this as no gay priests because they can't understand paternity. This from celibate straight men.
You might have noticed you don't have too many nuns anymore because you don't welcome lesbians.
And they stand up against Harrison Butker on his treatment of women.
So
and this is the same Pope who has railed against IVF and same-sex marriage, and
transgenderism is a nuclear war, he said.
And when he's complimented on allowing blessings of same-sex couples, he says, "Oh no, it wasn't the couples; it's just individuals who can be blessed."
And that's why the Dignity Executive Director Marianne Duddy Burke, we have a picture of her with the Pope in happier times, said, "This ongoing attempt to separate the individuals from their loving, committed relationships when same-sex couples seek blessings from priests is simply absurd. Said it needs to end. I'd suggest don't hold your breath." The Pope also, by the way, in that interview, we didn't say this, he rejected ordaining women as deacons, no less priests. So the church lets women serve the church, but denies them equal status.
It's interesting, when he took office as Pope, however many years ago it was, we had hopes that he would be a more liberal and progressive force.
And that's the popular view, by the way. And the conservatives hate him.
Well, that's why this is our lead story, because we got to blow the whistle on this. And
are the conservatives praising him for his bigotry?
Secretly, I'm sure they're laughing along with the bishops.
All right. By the way, this was also the week that the Supreme Court upheld racially discriminatory lines for Congress in South Carolina that had been struck down by the lower courts, saying, oh, it's just partisan gerrymandering, not racial, even though the legislature was openly diluting black majority districts. Alito wrote the opinion. You saw we showed you the upside down flag that his wife allegedly, and then now we have a new flag. Don't we have a picture of that?
The Appeal to Heaven flag. Well, this one is shown, I think, flying outside the home of Leonard Leo.
But most alarmingly in this decision, Justice Thomas wrote that we've gone too far with Brown v. Board of Education from 1954.
Yep.
It's overreach. That decision outlawed separate but equal. I mean, wow. I mean,
they want to get rid of everything. They want to get rid of all attempts to create a diverse, unified
maybe
society.
we'll get rid of them.
Well,
and I just mean that in terms of we need to form new courts. By the way, Biden was bragging about I've got 200 federal judges now, and 11 of them are LGBTQ, but that's not going to be enough to overcome the Supreme Court.
Where did I just read that some place is re-examining its limits on the number of people on a court and wants to redo that? And as in the religion realm, there is a lifeguard in Pacific Palisades, California, a high-ranking lifeguard who makes $200,000 a year. And
nice work if you can get it.
He is an evangelical Christian, and he complained when the local government ordered the flying of pride flags on the beach for June. He said, I cannot be forced to work around pride flags. And they said, okay, we'll move you to a beach where there are no pride flags. And he went to the other, that was bad enough. He went to the other beach, and it turns out they did have some pride flags. So now he's suing. So I want to know what's next. Is he going to sue to not have to go anywhere near gay people anywhere in his life?
That's
Is that
it's insane.
The next step?
And then there's the U.S. District Judge Lyles Burke, a Trump appointee overseeing the challenge to Alabama's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, accusing the LGBTQ lawyers in the case of judge shopping, forum shopping, and threatening, including James Essex, our pal from the ACLU, including threatening to arrest and have them incarcerated.
Well, they had a little plan to how they were going to deal with, bringing the case and trying to get a more favorable court. But the people who invented judge shopping are the right wing, who have taken every case to that one guy in Texas. And judge shopping, what about Judge Eileen Cannon and the Trump case? That's total judge shopping.
Well,
and it's working out for them.
That was actually randomly assigned within that district.
There were two judges.
Well, all right. But at least there was some chance of somebody else getting it.
I don't think so.
She's a horror show.
She is. And blatant about it. No shame.
So by the time you watch this, some of you may know the verdict in the Trump case, but he went to the Libertarian Party convention and got booed lustily. And so they did not go with Trump or RFK Jr. They nominated out gay Chase Oliver, picture, who vocally supports drag shows as performance art. I wouldn't say I agree with all of his positions. And of course,
well, he describes himself as gay and armed.
Yes.
He's in favor of gun rights. And as a libertarian, he is against a lot of anti-discrimination laws and stuff. So like Clarence Thomas, I don't know if he's against Brown v. Board, but he is. And that second picture we showed, put that up again. He's shown there with a rainbow flag that has the "Don't Tread on Me" sign and logo on it. So,
and he's wearing rainbows.
Yeah, it's a mixed message.
Well, libertarians have never had a problem, for instance, with same-sex marriage.
No.
They have a problem with civil rights laws.
Yes. And they have a track record of getting, look, he ran for the Senate in Georgia in the Warnock race that went to a runoff. It went to a runoff because he got enough votes to force it. Warnock didn't get 50%. So we squeaked out that race, but his libertarianism has caused some difficulties along the way.
Well.
He ran for the House from Georgia, too.
All right. U.S. House members, we have a picture of them, Mark Takano of California, Democrat, and Richie Torres from the Bronx, New York. They're co-chairs of something called Equality PAC, and they've raised $12 million to double the number of out gay members of Congress in this year's election. There are 9 now. They hope they helped out Julie Johnson get into a runoff in Texas, and Evan Lowe in California. They endorsed Sarah McBride, the transgender candidate in Delaware for the House, who would be the first trans member of Congress.
And who has a really good chance, I think.
And they're also backing Emily Randall in Washington State, Eddie Morales in Oregon. Their overall purpose is to pass the Equality Act in Congress.
Step by step. Well, there are a number of interesting LGBTQ candidates making headway. In Georgia, out gay Rashawn Kemp has made a June 18th runoff for the state Senate there.
Would be the first out gay Black man elected to the Senate.
In Kentucky, LPAC, the Lesbian Political Action Committee, has endorsed trans woman Emma Curtis for the Lexington County Council.
Who would be the first trans elected official in Kentucky.
In Tennessee, we're making a little tour of the South here. Out gay Zach Young, a Democrat, has been gerrymandered out of his council seat and is running unopposed for the school board. Don't give up, Zach.
He said how important that is. He was learned how important that is to be there at the ground level, which the radical right knows very well.
And we've been preaching for some years.
And then in Texas, identifies as queer Lauren Ashley Simmons. Lauren Ashley Simmons won her runoff for the state Senate nomination.
House.
Yeah. Well, I have state Senate in Texas, no?
I have the state house.
Okay.
It's one of them. It's somewhere in the state.
It's in Texas, though. Congratulations, Lauren.
Meanwhile, though, we'll continue our tour of politics around the nation. In South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem has banned the use of preferred pronouns or tribal affiliations.
Well, she's already banned from 6 tribal lands in that state because she's so obnoxious.
She's banned university employees from using any of this in their signatures. So they've got a little workaround. When they write an email, instead of using that in their signatures, they just put it in the body of the email.
Right. That's very clever.
Very clever. You can't.
In Louisiana, a Florida-style "Don't Say Gay" law was passed. Both houses of the legislature, and the anti-LGBTQ governor, Jeff Landry, is expected to sign it.
Yes, he is. And what else? Oh, Ryan Walters is getting a lot of heat in Oklahoma. The state superintendent of schools at the monthly Board of Education meetings, he keeps changing the rules on public testimony, but hundreds of citizens are showing up at the meetings and are organizing against him. The state is losing grant money for public education, LGBTQ.
They don't want the money.
They don't want public education.
Down.
This is Ryan Walters' whole thing. He doesn't care how many people yell at him. He doesn't care about anything but destroying public education on behalf of his big money right-wing donors.
The foxes in charge of the chicken coop.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go to Washington to the state dinner?
Sure. I'm just scanning here. The Republican Party in Colorado is telling people to take their kids out of public schools or they will be turned transgender.
Oh, well, there was that mixed martial arts guy who said, I'm going to homeschool my kid so he doesn't become gay. I mean, it's so ridiculous. No, he's going to become gay from watching you beat up men. I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh, he's in Arkansas, and he says, I'll homeschool so my kids won't be gay, communists, or Satanists. He also believes the earth is flat and tells people they should read the Bible, not Edgar Allan Poe.
Look, I met an Amish family in outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, when I went to school down there, and they were nice people, but they kept their kids out of school, and they were being prosecuted by the government. In those days, you had to send your kids to school. There was
Yes.
none of this homeschooling.
Yeah.
And the guy said to me, they learn dirty things there.
We live in a very strange country.
All right, let's go to the state dinner. This will show a lot of the strangeness of America.
Yeah.
Because Biden had this big state dinner for Kenyan President William Ruto. We have a picture of the first couples there, and so I mean, Ruto, of course, is very anti-LGBTQ.
But considered a progressive a young progressive in
and
Africa.
by the way, the Kenyan officials who were invited to this dinner, the three big ones, they're very outspoken against LGBTQ rights.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, two of them were when Obama came over in 2015, they said, don't try to tell us to do anything pro-gay in this country. Mind your own business. And they were at the state dinner.
Well, mind your own financial house. Then,
as was
too.
Obama.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yes, Obama was at the state dinner.
So I don't know if this was, so what we heard from the administration was they weren't saying whether they brought up LGBTQ stuff with him, just basic general stuff about human rights and that stuff.
Yeah, that's the code.
But
they did populate the dinner with a lot of same-sex couples. The Buttigiegs, Pete and Chasten.
Got a picture of them.
The governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, and her partner, Joanna Lidgate.
Yes.
The
diplomat Rufus Gifford, now a finance chair of the Biden campaign, and his husband, Stephen DeVinson.
Well, he's been very big in Democratic politics for years.
White House Communications Director, Ben LaBault, and his partner, Dean Lieberman. Celebrity wedding planner, Brian Raffinelli and Mark Walsh. They've been together for 35 years, worked with Hillary Clinton. Darren Walker, the head of the Ford Foundation.
Yeah.
Michael Weinstein, founder of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and his husband. And anyway, lots and more.
Yes.
So I mean,
that's a pretty overt message. I don't know whether the Kenyans knew that these were all same-sex couples. And this statement from the White House about talking to him about human rights. Asia Russell, longtime AIDS activist and the executive director of Health Gap, which does AIDS and other health work around the world, called it doublespeak from the White House.
Well, the bill, by the way, in Kenya, the Family Protection Bill, is a kill the gays bill. Death penalty for aggravated homosexuality, whatever that is, bans pride marches and other LGBTQ events, and expels LGBTQ refugees, including from Uganda. Now, Kenya has been a haven for some of these people from Uganda, which is even worse.
One of my favorite stories ever on this show was the Kenyan refugee camp holding a pride march and people marching around with little rainbow flags. But what happened after that was they all got cracked down on.
And don't forget, our ambassador to Kenya is a Republican, Meg Whitman, who said last year, every country has to make their own decisions about LGBTQ rights. We don't impose anything on anybody.
And you can't argue with that, but you can exert a little pressure,
right,
and try to lead people to Jesus.
We respect every country's views, and that's okay, she said.
Yeah.
That's okay. Be bad. Be bad. Be as bad as you want.
Does that include Russia? Do we respect Putin's views? Do we stay quiet about him?
Now, are we done with that? One gay couple not invited to the dinner was gay former Democratic donor, tech exec Jacob Hellberg. Here, there they are in the middle. He and his husband.
When I saw
wedding.
this picture, I thought, "Oh my God, is this like the Trumpsters who showed up outside the trial?"
Exactly.
It's a wedding.
It's a wedding.
They're dressed like that because it's a wedding.
A wedding performed by that AI guy, Sam.
What, Bankman?
Yeah.
Altman?
No. Altman. Sam Altman.
Yeah.
He performed the wedding. He was trying to raise a lot of money to get somebody in the Democratic Party other than Biden to get the nomination. So they're all, part of this whole tech group that is upset with. But Hellberg, says he fell in love with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, mingling with all the anti-LGBTQ politicians vying to be Trump's running mate.
So he gave Trump $1 million.
Untroubled.
$1 million, a gay tech exec.
Lives in Florida, untroubled by the don't say gay law.
Well, that's money for you.
They're like those German industrialists of another era.
Wow.
I think you know what I mean.
I do, but if you want to see real crazy, go to Minnesota.
Oh, yes.
And look at the Republican nominee for the United States Senate, running against Amy. Well, he has to go in a primary.
His name is Royce White.
He is a former football star. Football or basketball?
Basketball. Well, he has his basketball, but he hasn't played many games because he has some kind of a disorder that he's afraid of flying. And
well, okay, he has to run in a Republican primary, but he's getting a lot. Has Trump endorsed him?
I don't know.
Well, whoever wins the primary has to run against Amy Klobuchar. But here is a little taste of what Royce White thinks.
Cover your ears. We should give you a little trigger warning here.
He's one of those who says that Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, was attacked by the guy who was his gay lover.
Yep.
And here's his explanation. No 82-year-old man survives a hammer assault unless his assailant has a limp wrist.
My God. He says Sean Penn is a fag, but it has nothing to do with his sexuality. He says mental health is the most important issue we face. It's one of the most important issue you face, but not. Yes. But he says not woke mental health with tranny godmothers, whatever that means.
We laugh because we hope these people will never have any power. But if they do, then we will not be laughing.
Better news from Minnesota.
Yes.
We have a video of this veteran news anchor, Jason Hackett at KARE 11, had an announcement to make live on TV, and let's let him tell it.
I want to share this with you. This is this month's cover of Lavender magazine. If you're unfamiliar, it's a local LGBTQ focused magazine published here in Minnesota. So I was asked if I wanted to be on this month's cover and talk about my coming out story. And I put some thought into it and I said, why not? So a big thank you to the staff at Lavender and the Aliveness Project for making this process so amazing. So for people that really know me, my friends, my coworkers, some members of my family, this isn't some huge surprise. I've been living in a glass closet for the most part. But now I wanted to let you out there, the viewers out there that wake up with me every morning, to know a little bit more about me. And coming out to new people is never easy for me. I am so nervous right now, I'm not gonna lie. This is no doubt the most people I've ever come out to at once. But what me and Alicia and John and Cece and everyone here on Sunrise strive for is authenticity. And I can't preach that without being my authentic self. So I want to say a big thank you to KARE 11 for allowing me the space, more than any other station that I've worked at in the past 13 years, to just be me. I'm also thankful for my amazing friends, my partner, my family, and everyone who has supported me along this journey. And for anyone that is watching this now who is struggling to find acceptance or struggling with their family or their friends, take it from me, a gay, Black son of immigrants. The road may not be easy. I won't lie to you and say that it is, but don't worry. Keep going. You're going to make it.
Well, that was great.
Oh, wait, didn't we include the part where all his anchors, co-anchors congratulate him?
Well, they did.
Oh,
They were in tears.
It was a love fest on the set.
They were in tears.
Sorry. Maybe we can link to it in the show note. With
he hosts a morning show, but of course, where he came from, he's in Minnesota now. It's a little easier. He was in Oklahoma City.
Not if he runs into Royce White.
He was in Oklahoma City before that.
Woo.
And he said he was out to his colleagues, but not publicly there. He quoted E.E. Cummings in his Instagram, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are."
Well, that's a lifelong struggle for everybody.
But not for Beth Stroud.
She's an old pal of ours from activist days, and she ended up going into the clergy years ago and became a Methodist minister. But then the Methodists decided they didn't want out clergy.
20 years ago.
She had come out to her congregation publicly, and they threw her out. Well, now, as we've told you in the last couple of weeks, the Methodists have changed their minds and have decided that they're okay with out clergy. And so Beth has been welcomed back into the ministry.
She subjected herself to a reinstatement vote, and she got more than 2/3 of the vote. The church ended that ban just last month. She was greeted with a standing ovation, and so overcome, she was unable to speak. She now teaches at Princeton and doesn't have an immediate plan to return to the ministry, but is transitioning to teach Christian history at the Methodist Theological Seminary School in Ohio.
She had come out 20 years ago to her congregation to announce that she had a partner, and she was celebrating that. And
well, that's a great story, but my favorite of the week has to be Idaho. The drag artist, Eric Posey, won a defamation suit, that's him in mufti, against a right-wing blogger who posted that he had exposed his genitals during a performance, subjecting him to hatred, ridicule, and contempt, called names and racial slurs, and shut down his social life. That's the accuser,
the blogger.
Summer Bushnell. She was ordered to pay $1.1 million
because she lied.
In damages.
Because they had the video evidence that he had not exposed himself, that he was in costume, fully covered. She made it up, and they proved she was wrong. And a jury in Idaho gave him $1.1 million for defamation.
And came up to him afterwards and said how much they felt for him. She didn't even go to the event. She was relying on some blotted out video or something. And then she said, well, there's really genitals there or something. Can anyone get a suit going against this Chaya Raichik woman from Libs of TikTok, who's doing so much damage across the country?
She is. Well, that's a good idea. By all means, someone take that up. But meanwhile, good news from the federal government. We had told you that the National Park Service had issued an edict saying that their employees could not march in uniform in Pride parades.
As they have. Here's a picture.
I mean, this is shocking. We worked with the Park Service for years. They created the Stonewall National Monument downtown here at the Stonewall, across the street from the Stonewall Inn.
You can't march for a particular issue, position, or political party. And they extended that to pride marches. And they say that, this has really been the policy all along, but they also have that longstanding history of celebrating LGBTQ history.
So Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, who has always been a great friend of the LGBTQ community, said, no, this cannot stand, and she reversed the policy.
She said that in addition to special emphasis months that are observed within the department, some activities and events can be considered in service of the same goals, including marching in parades in uniform. So maybe Heritage or Pride, I don't know about that Queer Liberation March, which is much more pointed in what it stands for.
Oh, we worked with the Park Service for years when we were setting up.
Yes, but do they,
would they march in uniform? Well, we would certainly welcome them in uniform as opposed to the police force, which has been so violent in attacking us.
Right.
But whatever. And another great story out of Buffalo, New York. There is an Arizona Cardinals player who has been out, Trey McBride, who has been out about having two moms. And a kid in Buffalo saw the coverage of this and wrote to him because he has two dads. The kid's name is Forge. Well, the Cardinals player, and Forge is a big fan of the Buffalo Bills, but Trey McBride sent Forge a Cardinals jersey, and Forge and one of his dads made a really lovely video.
I think you're maybe the first NFL player with that setup.
They've been great. Everyone in this league's been awesome, and I think it's just something that needs to be normalized. It's special, something that I'm very proud of.
I think probably need to get a new jersey soon. This is my first non-Bills jersey. Okay, what do we got? Forge, Hope to see you all week 1. Hope you enjoy the jersey. I want you to know that it is cool to have same-sex parents. I'm here for you. We are in this together. You have a bright future. Trey McBride. P.S. Got you a hat plus some gloves. Play scores when the Bills do good.
It says Forge. It says Forge. Follow your dreams. The world is yours.
Don't make me cry.
That's so nice.
I'm gonna cry.
No, that's really nice. That's really nice.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh, that's really sweet.
It seems like I have an older brother now. I'm so excited.
Very moving. I'm verklempt. It is. It's sweet.
It is. It's very sweet, and you know there's a national longitudinal lesbian family study that's been following lesbian-headed families for years, and they just put out a new report on interviews with 75 adult kids of lesbian families, kids who had been born from IVF or artificial donor insemination. And they surveyed them on their happiness and their success. They say they have outside problems with being ridiculed, but they are very happy to have been born, and they're happy in their families. And I think we're seeing that in Forge and his joy with his dad.
Well, it was
and Trey with his mom.
Some joy back in Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz signed legislation stopping libraries from removing books solely based on viewpoint, content, message, idea, or opinion conveyed. And it mandates that, you know, the libraries be the decisions on books have to be done by licensed professionals. Parents or guardians can still object, but not school boards and places like that. And this applies to school libraries.
And back to Buffalo for a minute. The Catholic Diocese of Buffalo canceled a concert that was scheduled to be held at the local main cathedral, St. Joseph's Cathedral, of half a dozen choruses. And why did they cancel it? Because one of them was the gay men's chorus. And they said, we're canceling the concert. We can't have those people in our cathedral.
Why not? Were they going to be performing homosexual acts?
They were going to be performing 2 songs that were, of course, religious or respectful. Well, the good thing is that the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church stepped right up and said, we'll take them. And so the concert was moved there. The Catholic Diocese had said that they couldn't have the gay men's chorus because they exhibit values inconsistent with Catholic teaching.
You mean good music?
Just being who they are.
All right.
If the Catholic Church is not driving itself out of business, I don't know.
Very sad story in Donnelly, Idaho. They're transitioning. They're going to make themselves an adults-only library because of the state law, a new state law that says anyone can sue the library if a child is exposed to mature or inappropriate materials. They say, we're basically a one-room schoolhouse. We don't have room to segregate all this stuff, so we're just going to only allow adults in the library.
Heaven forbid we should let everybody in together. And a little sad news from Orlando, Florida, where the Hamburger Mary's, restaurant, which had done a great job of standing up to Governor DeSantis by suing over their right to hold drag shows, is closing. They say that downtown is empty in Orlando these days. They're just not getting the business. They may open elsewhere, but right now, no.
And in St. Pete, Florida, the Rainbow Ground mural defaced for a second time in a week. Restoring it is going to cost $1,100, but they're going to do it in time for Pride.
You know, these young straight men just think it's so funny to take their trucks and
by the way,
stuff.
GLAAD came out with a report this week about social media. They gave TikTok a D+ on their social media safety index, and that was the highest grade. Everybody else got an F. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads.
Well, if we can get through everything fast enough, I have some cute references to TikTok and X that are more appealing.
In Fort Lauderdale, a man hurled mangoes and a rock at a neighbor he perceived to be gay. The guy was complaining. The man he attacked was complaining because the mangoes were dropping on his porch, and so when the guy came over, the older guy says, I thought he was gay, so I had to get him away from me. The guy has a wife and kids. Doesn't matter.
This is very local reporting. In East Williamsburg in New York City, 2 teenagers violently attacked a gender nonconforming person just peacefully sitting on a stoop. They attacked them with a metal pipe and homophobic slurs. One of them has now been arrested, 13 years old. One of these guys is 13 years old and has been arrested, and they're looking for the other one.
Did we talk about the ballot measure in California
No.
to limit trans youth rights? Well, it failed to get enough signatures to qualify for the ballot. It would have limited medical care for trans youth and required schools to notify parents if their kids were changing their gender identity.
And well, there's a better resource for trans youth. Dwayne Wade and his trans daughter, Zaya Wade, have started a new website called Translatable, which has been set up as a safe space for queer youth of color. That's Zaya on the left and Dwayne there next to her.
Partnering with HRC and the Trevor Project.
Yeah. And the New York Public Library has a smorgasbord of pride events. Go to the NYPL website to get all of that.
We will include that in our email.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's go to, French Open is underway, tennis, and one of the stars is out Russian star Daria Kasatkina.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? She was profiled on CBS Sunday Morning this week as the world's bravest tennis player, not just for being an out lesbian, but an outspoken activist against Putin and his war in Ukraine. She's in a relationship with former Olympic skater. We have a picture of the two of them together, Natalia Zabiako. We will link to the interview on CBS Sunday Morning in our email. She did win her first round match at the French Open, and she's seeded 10th. She plays again tomorrow, Thursday.
That's a cute picture of her with her girlfriend. And in Albania, a lesbian couple got married on the roof of the mayor's office in Tirana, Tirana, the capital. Alba and Edlira. Same-sex marriage is not legal in Albania, and that is a mosque minaret behind them, just coincidentally. But this was a symbolic ceremony. They have kids who came to the ceremony too. It was quite lovely. They're advocating for the legalization of same-sex marriage.
And we hope they're all good.
Well, look, we just love these local people who take it upon themselves to be activists in whatever way is appropriate in their world. And the UN Development Program is partnering with ILGA, the International Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Trans Association, to create international pride awards that will celebrate LGBTQ plus equality heroes around the world. You can nominate people. All right. AIDS and health news.
Well, we've been telling you about the resurgence in Mpox. The CDC announced this week that 2-dose vaccine that a lot of us got back a year or two ago appears to give long-term protection. So booster shots are not going to be needed, but you got to get those too, especially to fight off this more virulent strain that's out there.
And if you had one a year ago, it's okay to get the second one now, and that will constitute the protective two.
Good. We keep you updated about our the ability of men who have sex with men to be able to donate blood. A lot of that has changed over the years, but the one thing they won't change is tissue donations. So this woman named Cheryl Moore, we have a picture of her, whose son AJ's took his own life at the age of 16 because he was hounded for being gay. He was rejected because they asked, was he gay? And then
he skipped a step. She wanted to donate his organs, and including his eyes. And she was asked, was he gay? Not was he HIV positive?
Right.
Not we're going to test him. Was he gay? And she said, well, he's never had sex. He was 16
That she knows of. Yeah.
that she knows of, but yes, he was gay. And they said, well, then we're not doing that. No gay eyes.
And part of the reason AJ took his own life, by the way, was because the kids in the show choir told him he was going to hell for being gay, so he might as well kill himself to save the time.
Wow.
Wow. Shocking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So good for her for being an activist. Now, the Cannes Film Festival is sort of at the top of the entertainment news this week with a couple of main things. The jury prize, which is one of the main prizes, went to the movie Emilia Perez, which is a wild musical about a Mexican cartel boss who transitions.
Right.
And that's the title character, Emilia.
So they gave the Best Actress award to a group of women from the show, including Carla Sofia Gascon, a Spanish actor, the first trans actor to win there at Cannes, playing a Mexican drug baron who becomes a woman. So the thing is, no, wait a minute. So the thing is, the director only wanted her to play the when she transitioned, and she said, "I'm playing both roles," and lobbied for it and got it.
Good for her. And the other actresses who were included in the Best Actress group, Selena Gomez, Zoe Saldana, and maybe you have the fourth.
Adriana Paz from
Thank
Mexico.
you. Yes. But the...
by the way, with tears in her eyes, she dedicated the award to all the trans people who are suffering, who have the opportunity to change for the better. You all have the opportunity to change for the better.
So that's,
you made us suffer. It's time for you to change, she said.
So Emilia Perez is a wild movie that was somewhat controversial, but won one of the big prizes. And the Palme d'Or, the best movie overall prize, went to Anora, directed by Sean Baker, who did Tangerine, the great movie that he shot on an iPhone of the trans sex workers. It was fabulous movie. And the Florida Project, which was about the little kid living in the housing project in Florida. So this is about a Brooklyn sex worker who marries the son of a Russian oligarch
in Brooklyn.
Yes. And Sean Baker said this is dedicated to sex workers past, present, and future. This is for you. That's Anora.
All right. We had the first out winner on The Voice, Asher Havon, on season Haven, H-A, and then V-O-N, on season 25. Also, the first winner for Alabama. I hope they're proud of him. Actually, Democratic U.S. Representative Terry Sewell said that we in Selma are proud of you. Haven performed for President Obama at the 50th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March across the bridge there. His dream is going to Broadway. He, grew up in the church community singing. We're going to link to his finale, which is I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Okay.
He sang, by the way, alongside his coach, Reba McEntire.
Oh, and I said I would have some news about social media, things that you should be looking at. A friend of mine follows the WNBA very closely. And she sent me a couple of things the other day, one on TikTok and one on X. And they're, I don't know if you call them bloggers on those sites, who follow the WNBA and all the dyke drama in the WNBA. So it's a lot of footage of girlfriends on the same team or different teams and how they're playing with each other and against each other, and fouls and fights and making up. It is hilarious.
Let's make a movie about that.
Well, the TikTok commenter is Coach Jackie J, whose handle on TikTok is J3 Hacks, H-A-X. And on X, it's someone named Mel, who's at the baddest Mitch. The baddest Mitch. So if you follow the baddest Mitch on X or J3 Hacks on TikTok, you will be extremely entertained by this stuff. It had me just rolling on the floor. It was so funny. Much more interesting than mainstream news coverage of the WNBA.
There's a documentary out on Peacock, Queer Planet, about the rich diversity of animal sexuality.
June 6th.
They make the point that only humans assign stigma to same-sex relations. We're supposed to be the advanced species.
Andrew Rannells is the narrator of this documentary. It's a documentary about the rich diversity of animal sexuality, first of its kind nature documentary. We've known about the books about this. We've reported on this for years, but now they finally made a documentary about it. The right wing is calling it evil and satanic. And Tommy Lahren, the right wing nut, said, if animals were indeed gay, there would be no more animals.
We can reproduce. All right.
Yeah, we're gay. We're not sterile.
Right. Actors Ty Olsson and DJ Qualls announced their engagement. Olsson is best known as the vampire Benny Lafitte on the sci-fi series Supernatural. Qualls, known for films such as Road Trip, played werewolf Garth Fitzgerald on Supernatural. They've been friends for 10 years, and their relationship evolved. Qualls said, now we're going to be old men together.
I have to say that looks like an odd couple.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to show it, because not everybody is just, cute and young.
Yes, and looking like brothers. Then we have the case of what turns out to be the really despicable Richard Dreyfuss, star of Jaws and other movies, very popular actor. But what's he doing now? He is showing up at various venues as a guest for screenings of Jaws.
50th anniversary.
Except his shtick is he comes out in a house dress. I think we have a picture of that. Yeah. And then he takes that off, but he goes into this rant about the horrors of diversity and inclusion.
Transphobic, sexist, homophobic. A lot of boos and walkouts at the forum, and an apology from the venue, the Cabot Theater in Beverly that hosted him. Now, he goes after Barbara Streisand, who directed him in Nuts, and says, "Oh God, this is just so awful." He says, she's a terrible director because women are so passive. This is the kind of stuff that he says.
He's a mess, and I just wonder how long he has been doing this.
Well, the thing is, he blames all the ills of society. We're not teaching civics anymore. How about civility, Richard? Civility.
Well, I'm in favor of teaching civics, but civics should include the supposed principles of this country, which are everybody's created equal and we respect everyone and we're in favor of
Although we didn't always.
Well,
and we may not again.
That's why I say purported values or supposed values. We haven't fulfilled that, but you want to teach civics, how about teaching those kinds of values instead of getting up there and spouting all this bigotry?
Okay.
It's strange that his reputation has not preceded him and he's still getting these bookings. It's crazy.
The famous Irish drag queen and activist Panty Bliss is bringing her one-woman show, If These Wigs Could Talk, to the New York's Irish Arts Center, June 13th to 23rd. I might try to take that in.
And are you continuing to watch We're Here on HBO?
I didn't see the last episode.
Well, they've done, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but their first 3 episodes were all in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And now the next 3 episodes are all in Oklahoma.
Oh.
And lots of trouble in Oklahoma.
Where Jason Hackett left.
Yeah. Well, they, not too bad in Tulsa, but then they moved to Bartlesville, which is an oil capital of Oklahoma, where Phillips 66 has been headquartered, and very insular values. So much so but you know how they go to a town and they connect with local people, local LGBTQ people, and they put on a drag show. Well, the local LGBTQ organization did not want this to happen and did not work with them. And they had to circumvent that and do it. So episode 3 is this week, but they're all available on demand if you have HBO. And again, they're doing just a spectacular job, but it's disturbing.
We have a short documentary to share with you in our email, Old Lesbians Reclaiming Old Age and Queerness Through Storytelling, 29 minutes, based on interviews conducted over 25 years by a retired lesbian school teacher, Arden Eversmeyer of Houston, traveled all across the country for the Older Lesbian Oral History Project. We're going to link to it, or you can go to guardian.com. It's from their newspaper.
And an even shorter documentary, 20 minutes, called Love Jamie, to recommend, that PBS is running on its website as of June 3rd. It's on. You can find it on pbs.org or on their app. Love Jamie is about the 10-year relationship between a trans man who volunteered for an organization to correspond with prison inmates. And as he looked through the many, many letters requesting that correspondence, he saw one that had a lot of art on it. And he said, oh, this is interesting. I'll correspond with this person. And the person he corresponded with turned out to be a trans woman in prison, 60 years old, who is an accomplished artist. And they have been not just corresponding, but talking on the phone. So it's a 20-minute documentary, a lot of their conversations, a lot of the art that the inmate, Jamie, has sent to this guy, Gabriel. And Gabriel helped arrange an art show for Jamie that in New York, which one woman show, which became very popular. And then Jamie was given parole, but was told she could not leave prison until she had some housing established. Well, she recently had a stroke, which was unfortunate, but she also has been given housing. And so this Friday, as we sit here on Wednesday, Jamie is getting out of prison to be greeted by Gabriel and lots of friends and supporters. And it's a very heartwarming story and a wonderful relationship that you see developed over years. So
I think they both need to have a talk with that homophobic lifeguard and set him straight.
Yeah. So Love Jamie is the documentary, pbs.org. Jamie is now 66. And it's a really heartwarming story.
Wow.
All right. So if you want links to the things we've told you about and other information, go to our website at gayusatv.org, sign up to get our once in a week email, and you too can get all these extras.
And we thank you all for being with us this week. So much news to get through, so much to absorb. Very painful to write down every week, but we do it for you.
Well, some of it is painful and some of it is joyous.
Like what you just said.
And Love Jamie is joyous. The Forge in Buffalo, the kid with the two dads.
The guy coming out in Minnesota, and we're out of time.
We will see you next week.
Happy Pride.